very special family member of Touche the Podcast here with us, Lora DeVuono. So, background of Lora's career experience and what she's here to talk to us about. Lora spent over 40 years as a marketer, but even more importantly, she spent over 20 of those years at PepsiCo, specifically at Frito. I know personally. So Lora started as a product manager and rose to the C-suite as the first woman at Frito-Lay to be the head of marketing and advertising, but since Frito for the last 15 years, she's been a strategic marketing consultant, worked in private equity, and has been an executive coach, which even Lora.
Thank you, David. I'm thrilled to be here.
For many reasons, this is very exciting for me, besides the fact you're just my mom. But growing up, my mom has always been a huge inspiration to me, as you guys could imagine. And we spent a lot of time talking about great marketing campaigns, new products, really advertising that we see in the marketplace that we absolutely love. So it's very special to be able to talk to you about that today. Opportunity for you to give career advice to the people who listen to our podcast. Because this podcast is for mid-30s, young professionals, people who are trying to find their place in the world, and I feel like you're the perfect person for that.
Get this party started.
Yes.
The most important qualities of an effective leader in today's landscape, and especially when you're looking for leaders, what qualities do you hire for or coach for specifically?
I think about that question a lot, David, and one of the things that was wonderful about working in an environment like PepsiCo for over 20 years is that you are just surrounded by these amazing people. They're super talented, and it's a grooming place for leadership. And so you get to see firsthand from the time you're just a young marketing youngin in the department, all these amazing leaders around you. And so I like to say that I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in my career, and I like to think that I've taken the best of the leaders that I really respected and really tried to model that into my leadership style. So when I think about the evolution of leadership, you don't become a leader overnight, right? You grow and you learn and you evolve in your leadership style. The leader that I was as a young marketer, maybe 10 years into my marketing career, was very different than the leader I became at 30 years or 40 years. And
qualities that you feel like are a misconception when you've seen people hire other leaders saying, oh, I want someone who's maybe like overly aggressive or really loud. Are there any qualities or values that you're like, absolutely not, I don't want those?
It's things that's really, really important in terms of developing as a leader is to understand the culture that you're operating in, right? The organizational culture. So for example, PepsiCo is very different, say, than Quaker Oats, which was an organization I was in prior to that, and is very different than a General Mills, or is different than an American Airlines, or is different than an AT&T. So one of the things that I have seen is that you cannot cookie cutter leadership within an organization. A leader comes with certain qualities and they exhibit skills that are fundamental, but they have to be really sensitive to the culture that they're in and adjust their leadership style. So if you come into a culture like a bull in a china shop because you've been told to be aggressive, but that is not how people want to be treated, that's not how the culture is in its DNA, then you're not going to be successful there.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. And I think about the companies over we've been working for 8-9 years now, and like all the interviews I've had, every time I talk to somebody, and I'm asking those questions at the end, I'm like, what is the culture like? Because I want to make sure that I fit into it and that it's going to be something that resonates with my working style. And it's exactly what you're saying with leadership, because it's kind of top down. The leadership's going to set that culture.
That's right. The other thing that I've noticed is that kind of the old school way of thinking about leadership was, I'm the boss, it's my way or the highway. That is so archaic. That is not at all how true leadership really works. And what I have found is, the term servant leadership is overused, but it's still so real in that I have felt like my job was to serve my teams and my people and help them be successful. And that oftentimes, if I felt like I needed to adjust my leadership style a little to motivate a certain individual a certain way, I would do it with that person because I felt like it would get the best out of them. not only from a performance standpoint, but also from a connection standpoint.
That's high EQ right there.
That's right. Leveraging that EQ philosophy that Tally's heard so many times.
Like the thing she drills into my head every day.
That's right, emotional intelligence. But I do feel like old school leaders that you don't want to be like will say, hey, it's my way or the highway. That is.
What strategies do you use to encourage innovation? What strategies do you use to encourage innovation and creativity within your teams, within your clients, people that you do executive coaching for?
I learned over the course of decades working in the creative world of advertising and working in the world of innovation where you're developing new products is that creativity and innovation are a messy process. They're not a linear process. And you can put things in place to progress and give people guideposts, but what you want to really do is inspire people. You want to inspire their creativity and you want to inspire their innovative thinking. And one of the things that I've observed and I've seen is that if someone is judged a lot for their ideas or they're not allowed to speak freely when they're asked their opinion, it shuts down innovation. It shuts down creativity. Who wants to speak up in a meeting about a campaign or about an idea if someone's just going to shut you down and say, well, wait a minute, that's not right? Nobody is going to. So what I have found is the best way to inspire creativity and
set a culture of inspiration is extremely important. I feel like a lot of companies or teams that I've been on before, they've had a brainstorming meeting or a brainstorming session, and it's such a check the box item in the process. It's like, well, we had a brainstorm with a bunch of people. We ultimately went with the decision that they knew what was going to go pre-brainstorm.
Right.
Which it's like once that happens once in a while, why would I try to be creative anymore in these meetings?
That's right. That's that I think is kind of a best practice, and a lot of consumer packaged goods companies do that. You have to be prepared to fail, right? To truly be an innovative company, you are going to have failures, you're going to have lots of successes, but you're going to learn from your failures a lot. And we would do a lot of test marketing. We would get things out into market and go into markets and test Sun Chips or test Baked Lays or test the next flavor of Doritos if we felt like there was something that we needed to learn about. And so I think that this notion of smaller testing before you then scale up to a larger environment, whatever industry you're in, getting that learning early on helps you learn from your failures, but also maximize your success in the marketplace when you are investing the money and you are investing the resources against that innovation or that idea.
A tried and true Frito-Lay households, Pepsi products, and so no Coke girlies in this household. But I do remember growing up, it was fun because my mom would obviously get to test products, and she would bring home kind of, inconspicuous eggs, and there was always a new product in them. I think my favorite ever was Clean Paw Cheetos. It was for his fingers didn't get dirty with the cheese. And so that was, I think, my favorite product that we ever tested. But yeah, we always were trying something new.
Great. I advertising too, because that's another thing that we spent a lot of time. I would come home with ad campaigns and get Tally and Raymond's perspective on them because they were the target audience, and I really wanted to have their perspective from the standpoint of the messaging and the branding. So it was fun.
No, and I appreciate you, involving us because it gave us, I think, a lot of confidence, to try to be better marketers at a young age. I'm still working on it, but
it's a never-ending journey, and I had a little mini focus group in my own house, so that was great.
Yes. About that, you've been drilling this concept into my mind for a very long time, and I think it applies not only to business, but it also applies to friendships. Even a relationship where you might be having conflict, but the sandwich method, the infamous sandwich method. So can you first of all explain what that sandwich method is, and then how you use it when delivering feedback? And I don't know if you have any examples.
I'll share my sandwich with you. So when I started executive coaching, after I left my corporate career and became a consultant and a coach, I realized that I had a technique that I had naturally used for my entire career, just organically. And I labeled it, I coined the term, the sandwich approach to feedback. And I had observed it working really, really well. And the simple premise is lead with the positive. In the middle, put your meat of the feedback that you need to give, the negative part of your sandwich, and then end with the positive, end with hope and really a positive outcome. And